relationships with others, and I use Western psychological principles. Many of them are similar, and some of them are different to help teach peace. And so we've come together that way. But I want to say a few words about Rinpoche. He's a graduate of the largest Buddhist academy probably in the world. It's in Qinghai province now, but it is eastern Tibet. And he's vice principal of a school. He and some of his friends here, some 20 years or so ago, had a lot of Tibetan nomadic orphans that didn't have any place to live or anyone to take care of them, and so they set up an orphanage. And as more and more children came, they turned the orphanage into a school. And now the Sengdruk Taktse School, Rinpoche is the vice principal of, has some 450 girls and boys, K through about 9. And so this is a major important project for Lama Lakshey. We've also been able to bring 2 of his orphan students to the U.S. who are studying here, and we're trying to get them educated to the point where they can go back to Tibet and be the principal and curriculum development, the officials of the school. So these are some of the things that Rinpoche does. He's the head of Tsinta Mani Choling, which is a Buddhist Cultural Center in Spokane, and he gives teachings there. He has students all around the country, a good number of them in the Bay Area, where he's been recently for a couple of several weeks. Anyway, I can go on, and I would like to just introduce you and ask you to welcome Lama Lakshey Zangpo Rinpoche for his teaching, which, as you know, is taking joy and sorrow as the path. So Rinpoche, can I hook you up with this?
First, thank you for your wonderful introduction, and also give me a great opportunity to come and here in Canada, especially very beautiful and places and wonderful conference to join with all of you, and especially those organized. That's wonderful, the conference to happen, and very thanks to all of you. And so you, when doing presentations, do wonderful, prepared, good organized, but me, the opposite. No prepared, no organized. So anyway, my unprepared little conversation, and this morning, 1 hour, I'm very happy taking this opportunity. So the subject is soil elephant, and see, you just see, I'm not prepared here. So, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
What's the French? Bonjour. Jasidela. How many? Okay, that's the good news. Many of you don't know Tibetan. So
Buenos días.
when my English is not going so well, then I translate that for Tibetan. Then no problem. So yesterday, day before yesterday, for 2 days, I have this great joy with many of your presentations. Then I listen, try to pay attention, and read, and sometimes my reading is very slow, still learning English, of course you can see that. But I get many things and wonderful, because when I look your the PowerPoint presentations, and then I sometimes imagine if I have very good English, then I translate many Tibetan verses to put next to your presentation, they're going together, no problem. So we have many common, and of course Dabrowski, many point of views about creativity transform perception of reality. And then many of those presentations, when you more kind of details or explanations, then I get, even I don't have opportunity to be in West education. But when your presentations is go in my head or my heart, because we have common. And then also the child was gifted children, and we have very common that, and very well-known in Tibetan many books just covered about the gifted children. So some of you later mentioned about the reincarnation and like that. And my brother, my older brother, Dexter met him, and he's one Tibetan tradition reincarnation master. He's a gifted children, I can say, because unstudied, not studied any places, but spontaneously he has many writings, and it's naturally he has very skills of writing. And also, for example, in Tibetan we call that is mental treasure revelers, and he is one of mental treasure reveler, that's called. But sometimes when there's a child, they have special skills. But sometimes we call, there's two things Tibetan words. Muinjang Gwakchak is, we also, there's explanations about previous study, awakening from previous study. That's Muinjang Gwakchak. The language here in Tibetan, one is the wisdom is to natural arising for kids, or something like that. So there's different vocabularies, and sometimes those gifted children is not with the kind of when there was childhood, but when they grow up, like 20s and 30s, at the awakening, something is realized never they imagined before. So like that, there's many things, and we have very common, and I think study each other. Then here today, I'm going to talk some kind of Buddhist perspective of joy and sorrow, how to transform into path. So now we here on my side, you can see I'm Buddhist, yes? But I'm not sure when I first come, when we are, that was once Thursday, and first we start our conference, and then enter, there's another wedding going on. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Then I think some people can think, myself also, I think I'm more fit. My dress more fit to the wedding rather than this conference. So, but I think some people think I should go to the other door. But my dress is like kind of, a wedding dress. So, because they were wearing like this, some of them I saw the red, and some is green, and some white, but kind of my dress. So, can be Buddhist dress, can be wedding dress. Anyway, that's my dress. So here is what I'm going to talk. And first, Buddha Shakyamuni, I always very admire and very inspire when the beginning Buddhas taught in India 2,600 years ago. That time India have a very strong caste family system, high caste, low caste, and rich and poor, and male and female genders. So very strict those. And then Buddha Shakyamuni, when he first taught, and he accept every mankind. No, doesn't matter you come from rich or poor, you are high caste and low caste. Then he said, Rumutsu, Rigmutsu, Lapa Rinpoche, Konatsu. I told you I always speak Tibetan, you know? Remember? Now you need to understand. So he said, Rumutsu, Rigmutsu, Lapa Rinpoche. He said, not important your caste, not important your family, classes, and important human nature, human being. So I feel always we talk about today, 2,600 years later, still we're talking about human right, yes? We're talking about the genders and the right of the genders we're talking about. But Buddha already discovered nature of human, really what's humanity, what's a human being, and basically. That's how I feel. That is because very aspires, because that time is very difficult to accept everybody's same room and the same, Buddha don't have fancy like temples. I think most of he teaching in the forest and places. But anyway, he accept every mankind for his follower, whoever interested, for his philosophy, his thinking, his advice, his instructions, he always welcome. The reason why, and one time, that maybe is interesting, and one time someone is a Hindu, of course they have a lot and conflict with what Buddha is doing, because he shouldn't, he should not do, everybody is mixing together, all caste, all the rich and the poor people together. But the Buddha accept all is same and put in same seat in the same level. And you come from praise, or you come from in the poverty and poor, or you are very high caste, or you are very low caste. He doesn't care, because he cares about the human nature. So then it's a lot of gossips about, and then one day someone come to ask for, oh, that is a mistake. You kind of destroy the culture of India and against the tradition of India. Then Buddha asked that person, because they believe the Atma, or the self, and also and the instruction. Then Buddha asked, do you live for the fundamental or ground of consciousness? Take it, before taking off different forms. And he said, yes, I believe that. If we believe the ground of consciousness, do you think the ground of consciousness have any colors, any genders, or any of the class system of family system, high caste, low caste? Then he think, oh, the mental body, the consciousness, the mental consciousness, or the mind can't have a form, or genders, or colors, or shapes. Or if you don't have that, then it's because that is a secondary of the condition of our different colors, our different genders. That's not really who we are. That's just the condition. We're taking the different forms of different colors, different shapes, different families. But our fundamental nature as human beings is same. We come from the ground of consciousness, of a mental body, take different forms, as they're talking about the reincarnation system. So, like that. So anyway, because then is the most, what he talking about that, and he talking about, we all have same right, human right, our birthright. Our birthright is same, because we all have the same right to overcome suffering, and we have same achieve happiness. That is he talking about. That's right. It doesn't matter you are West or you are East, you are white or you are black or you are Asian, you are Africa. It doesn't matter, because we have the same right, same purpose, because we all wishing to be happy. We all want to be successful. So when we have arising that understand, doesn't matter what is the dress you put on, what color you have, what of your background, what is the education you have, but fundamental, we are same human being. So naturally, in the community, the unity, the harmony of humanity is arising. Then, of course, Buddha talking about we have mental dispositions. So, of course, we can't accept one absolute truth. There's no one absolute truth. So therefore, because we all have different mental disposition, that means we have different mental capacity. So then different favorite, different interest. So therefore, we cannot deny or neglect others' right or others' interest. So therefore, the Buddha accept every other's tradition, every other's interesting, he accept, he respect. So that is because very aspire as his follower and very, admired, because that is because very fit in my capacity, because my personality. Because I accept every other's belief, every other's understand. Because we are different human beings, different mental capacity, different mental dispositions. So of course we have different interests. Therefore today here, and we have many of us have different color of dress. You have different interest of color. So that is because it shows we have different mental dispositions. So in Tibetan, sometimes we have a saying, 30 human beings have 30 different thinking, different thinking. Yeah? 30 yaks have 60 horns. So we have, different interesting. And my point, because this kind of attitude, mental attitude, we are the same. We are same human being. We are same humanity. So then we naturally come to understand others' issues, other situations, because we have emotions. We have because many different, understandings or issues or situations or emotions. So therefore, others have that exactly the same. So then is not so much, irritated for others. Later can be relaxed with that. Then is in order to develop to relaxation and yesterday and before Dexter presentation, he led us with meditation. And that is very, very important. Why is important? Because usually we're using our mental consciousness apply with the sensory object. Then we are constantly busy because our mind have a couple differences, categories. Gross level of consciousness and subtle level of consciousness and very subtle level of consciousness. So it's mostly we apply gross level of consciousness and the object of sensories. And then we are busy. Constantly we rely upon the sound, rely upon the color, rely upon the shape, rely upon the image of mental imprint. And constantly we busy. Then during the meditation we shut down all the kind of sensory object. Didn't go past mental imprint, future pursuing the plans, etc. Being in present. Then during that time we are a little calm, This is the fundamental, we can transform, now it can be, develop that. Develop that or more transform for positive thinking. Altruistic, thinking we can manage, we can develop, we can generate. Otherwise, because within the busy mind, it's very difficult to transform, the mind, transform, or difficult to generating genuine compassion. Because there's a disturbing, there's constantly going, non-stop. So then when we stop a little bit this kind of busy thinking, and we little bit make stop. And during that period, everything's resolved, calm, relax. Now is arising something, we can now intentionally apply that for positive. Then familiarizing with that. That's called meditation. Meditation in Tibetan, gum, G-O-M. Gum means familiarizing. You familiarizing with the negative attitude, or you familiarizing with the positive attitude? If you negative, then it's because if someone focus, oh, that is complaints, this is not right, this is not good, then always kind of pessimistic, kind of like that, pessimistic attitude towards, then even tiny problems become to huge problem. But if you this command to, usually we have disturbing, I call usually, distraction emotions and concentration emotions. So those disturbing emotions, or distraction emotions, because it's constantly working with the sensory object. And then it's concentration emotions is more working with intention, more ensettlement. So then it's because this ensettlement, when we come, now we start apply this settlement intentionally, with the pure motivation, with the, intention. So now it's because Buddhists are talking about analytical meditation and one single pointed concentration. Perhaps you're familiarized. Maybe you heard about, I don't know, because meditation is very popular in the West now, even commercials. And, so anyway, and the meditation have two categories, analytical meditation and thinking meditation. And one single pointed concentration and the subtle, very present and the relaxation of in the present, be in present, and to develop that and more familiarizing with in the present. When you be in present and then you're familiarizing with what's life, because that is your experience. When everything is calm and relaxed, then you can try to more expanding that, more stable that, more stabilize that period. Then you can more experience about the ease or peace of your own nature. That peace is because it's very calm, very, very bliss. That bliss is combined, provided of your whole body and your mind. It's very different than any other joy of sensory object, So it's very different levels of joy, levels of experience of peace and ease. But that experience is when you have some ability or to expand a little bit, stabilize. So that doesn't need a little effort, or take a little time, put a little effort, make that happen. So when you have that stability of your internal peace arising, then now you have the ability to that constantly develop, regularly. You can develop that. Then eventually we can become to very peaceful, very happy, very satisfied for life. That can be happened, but need to take a little time, some kind of effort, So effort is a very big deal, Me, not effort person, lazy person, So when I study English, like that, and my lazy take my energy away, to study constant, diligent, like that. But for develop that kind of meditation, it will take time. But we have this potential to develop, and according to Buddhism, or my view, definitely any human being can develop that. Or sometimes because then a second, I'm talking about analytical meditation. That is basically utilize the marvelous human intelligence for more positive, more altruistic. So now it's because our fundamental, why we can do that? We can do that? Do any of us can develop the virtuous potential? The answer is yes, we can. Because our fundamental, our nature is example or metaphors by water. Wonderful. You can imagine the water, a beautiful lake or beautiful, and the river or somewhere you're watching, basically maybe pond or on the lake, unpolluted of lake. And the lake itself, the water, very clear, very calm, very blissful. But then someone make that polluted is possible. You can, but that's not the water itself. Yes, that is because the second factor about what you call the motors or pollution, whatever they make, But that's not the water itself. So now it's because we think the water we can change anything. For example, I don't know, in Canada people like tea, black tea, green tea. Water can change any other factors can change any different color. Do you know Tibetan tea what's like? Do you want to know? Butter tea. Butter tea. Heard about butter tea? Okay. In the tea, black tea, we put milk, then put a lot of butter and lot of barley flour, and then salt. That's the Tibetan regional tea. So when you go to Tibet, first you should test about butter tea. So very heavy, but for high plateau, like Tibetan, high altitude, it's good. But maybe here, I don't know. So anyway, so like that we can change anything. So therefore it's a culture, an environment, an influence. Every different, our attitude, our personality. But that is not the nature who we are, because the tea is not the water itself. The tea is because I drink the black tea or green tea, yellow tea, orange tea, because it's the factor change, the taste, the color, also the shape. The water is free from the shape and color, etc. So if we can that kind of thinking, now we can change noise, metal, or what you call the technologies to take those if polluted water unpolluted. You can purify those polluted, make more drinkable. Yes, you can do that. So therefore, even we have some pollutions, mental pollutions, we can transform that unpolluted. So therefore, that Buddhists talk about pure perception and impure perception. So we have impure perception, we can transform pure perception because our fundamental, our essence is already pure. So that is we call primordially, we are pure. That's Vajrayana point of view, the essence our mind have, and the mind in general, and the essence of mind. The essence, each of us, not only our humanity, the human beings, but even all the creatures have that essence. The essence of all the living beings is pure. But the factors, the consequences, to bring different personality, different attitude, different environment, So like that, therefore, in the fundamental, we can respect all living beings. So therefore, Buddhists call all living beings have Buddha nature. What's Buddha nature? A latent quality, awakening quality. But there is we call precious human life. Human beings precious among all these creatures. Why we are very precious? And human beings have special potential, ability to not only for short-term interesting. Human beings have special ability or potential for understand long-term benefit. So now we see what's our difference. Animals, we are not in Buddhists talking about we are precious because we have, nice looking, thinking 2 arms, 2 legs, blood or bones or flesh, no. Or not talking about our organs or faculties are very special. Because they have special faculties because many birds are special, like animals have sense of seeing much better than us. Hearing, smell, taste, many things is there. The sensory power is much more better than us. So not special, but only special mental capacity. We can develop. We have the potential. We have special, as before I mentioned, the marvelous human intelligence is we talking about precious. So that marvelous human intelligence, we can, that will apply for proper way, for not short-term interesting, long-term interesting. So now it's short-term and the long-term what I'm talking, yes? So now because we all, come from our mother, we have biological love and compassion. But our compassion and love normally is kind of little bias, partial. So we need to apply that unbiased love, impartiality. Can we do? Do we have that potential? I think the answer is yes. We all can. Then what's the benefit if we put, our attitude, mental attitude, more unbiased, more partiality, more impartiality? Yeah. Then what do we get? What do we get minimum benefit? The most our stressing, frustration, irritation, where's it come from? Basically, the Buddhist point of view, biased attitude is the source of our frustration, our irritation arising. So when we kind of break that attitude, the biased attitude, me, this, centrism, what do you call it? Egocentric, self-interested, cherishing. That is distinction, separation, me and others. Then me, important. I'm very biased, Lakshism. I am Tibetan. I grew up nomad life, no special, just, couple, Tibetan couple. And so like that, but I know how to tame the yaks and horses. If you have wild yaks and horses, please let me tame. So only that is my skills. But anyway, because I grow a wonderful family, it's because my parents have 10 children. 10 children. So my mother's very, very compassionate, very kind, really, truly. Dexter met her in a couple of times. She's still alive, and she's in her 70s, and she birthed 9 children. And one is a girl, is very early, she adopted one little orphan girl. So she have 10 children, she raised perfect. Never have complaints. But as my job, a little bit I go to the branch, okay, story. My job is when I was little in the nomad, my memories come back, nomad life. When I was a little boy, when I was 6, 7 to, about 10, it's my job, my duty, take care of yak babies. Yak babies, they're cute. But, well, how I take care of the yak babies because we need to separate with the mothers. Because in the nomad's life, in our life, we are depend the butter, yak butter and cheese and milk, yogurt, etc. So therefore, we need to have saving those in the yak milk, so we separate the yak babies and yak mothers. Now I have a problem. When I take yak babies, of course, their mothers and the children, biologically, they love each other very much. So then it's the mother, yak babies miss their mother, mothers miss the baby, and they run each other. Then because my job is, separation with the mother and the baby. Then sometimes I lose my temper and pick a rock and throw for the yak baby, poor yak baby. But then I get a problem. Later I need to, the yak baby, I need to tie a rope. No more trust, no interest in me. Then I get a lot of trouble, to try to get. When I give some nice yak babies, I give little salt and little nice and, little cherishing them, they will enjoy. They come whenever I ask. And no problem to tie with ropes. So anyway, when my mom, when she saw I throw ropes for the yak babies, when I get home, I have a little present. Then my present is sometimes she not say anything. She is one stick or something hit. Then I said, ouch, or it's pain, or sometimes cry. Then she asked me, what's the feel? I said, pain. She said, what do you think? The yak baby, I saw you throw rocks. Then I realized the yak baby must have pain when I throw the rocks. That's why the yak baby don't trust me anymore. So hurt others, make push away, not bring too close. So then my mom teach, if you can, think about it. The yak baby can. That's why you can't, tie the ropes. This yak baby don't trust you, you hurt. So that's my experience about someone, to hurt someone, to, hurt someone. It can't be trust, can't be close. Then, of course, there's no feeling of closeness. So like that, therefore, the yak babies give me challenge, That you can imagine, visualize. Even you never been in the, yak keepers, yak baby, take care. But it's a little challenge when you was young, taking. That's my story, is how I grew up. Then it's fortunate when I was 11, I entered a local monastery. They continue to enter now. I have some opportunity to, peace, relax, classes, not chasing yak babies. So like that, therefore it's because here I'm talking about the sorrow and the joy. And without experience of sorrow, we can't experience of joy. So when we never have cold, we don't know what warm is. So therefore is first some experience of sorrow. And then is arising what's the come from the sorrow and what the causes of sorrow. When we find the consequences or the conditions or the origin of the suffering, then we can stop, we can cut. We have the potential to cut the root of the suffering, the sorrow. But that is because, as mentioned, analytical thinking, analysis, that process about when present you have experience of some kind of unpleasant. Unpleasant come from the unfortunate consequences. Now we recognize that, and what's the antidote we have prepared. So therefore, in Buddhist, perhaps, I don't know how much you know, but study thoroughly, contemplation and familiarizing. So you are any, any practitioner, any, educator or teachers, lamas, monks, nuns, you not just study and practice for intellectual or someone else for teach, but for you on minimum benefit. What you have experienced, what you have to learn, what you have familiarized, what embodiment you are. So that is because in the way of we teach, not just intellectual, you need to familiarize. You need contemplation that for a long period. And then you familiarize how much you living with that. Otherwise, sometimes we go into temples and churches, synagogues, and like that, and then we bring that time. We're very calm and very peaceful, very relaxed, but outside of the temple. constantly the addiction of sensory object. Then we forget the values, the potentials, what we have. So those things, because many things is very important. As mentioned in the early yesterday or day before yesterday, someone is talking about the presentation mindfulness. So that's called mindfulness practice. Yes, you remember your potential. You remember your nature. You remember because what the quality or the value of love, the value of love and kindness, or compassion, and tolerance, forgiveness, etc. Not talking about all this as if someone else for benefit and benefit one's own self. We get benefit. I get benefit if I'm more compassionate. I get bliss when I am more calm. Then it's because my orientations, my behavior or the conduct more kind of serve for others, interesting, you respect for others. If I don't have these qualities, if in my mind is not arising of any of these values, then my orientation, can't apply, my action can't be positive or virtuous action. Even I try, but that's hypocritic, it can't be successful. So therefore, we must be the embodiment of compassion and love. Then we can help for others, possible. What time? Who's looking for my time? Already been 40 minutes?
You've got 14 minutes.
Left 14 minutes. Okay, I want you some question for me, so I stop here. Please, some questions. We have 14 minutes. Yes?
You see some similarities between the Bodhisattva path and the theory of positive disintegration.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
For example, Bodhisattva path, first I will tell you. The Bodhisattva path, and there's a compassion and a genuine compassion. And the compassion have two categories: aspiration compassion and engaging compassion. Compassion of engaging compassion. Okay. So activity compassion and aspiration compassion. So aspiration compassion is the source of the action compassion. So we thought aspiration compassion can't be the action of compassion. So we have to very strong determination. Strong is aspiration to develop this compassion. In order to arising this determination of aspiration of compassion, because we need to aim or target or purpose of compassion. So therefore, thoroughly it's studied. Yes. So now is after we have this purpose of develop of this compassion. Now we taking step by step. Bodhisattvas, Buddhists, I think you have some familiarized. So therefore, we can take one by one. We not like break, like continue. But it's not up here. It's once can be used like a days, a week, a month, and take it years. Sometimes I metaphors like draw water in the bowl, and each drop of those water will fill eventually of the bowl. But one drop, even you can notice much in the bottom of the big bowl. So that kind of, we have energy, or interesting, or what you call it, the diligent to continue, consistent of Bodhisattva's path journey. So that I think is very familiarizing what your questions about step by step. There's many levels. Yes, the many levels. And before you talking about some of, I think, Bill talking about these factors and many of them, and to different levels, understand. Yes. So that is, I think, we are very similar. So therefore, as mentioned before, I was very aspire about Dabrowski and the theory, because really, we are very similarity. Of course, and generally, and today in the Western, any sciences like in neurosciences, we have so many common. Quantum physics, we have so many common, and the brain, we have so much common. And many things in the science field, and ecology or biology, everything the Buddhists already talking about. Sometimes I joke, and the Buddha didn't talk under one particular like a volume, but he talking about 180 different volumes. As before mentioned, he teaching about 84,000 different topics, understand the different mental dispositions. So therefore, there's many subjects. So many things in the West, because education field, especially science field, we have so many common, and we can so much share each other. Therefore, is how much this more progress in science, more developed, understand the brains and the neural fires, neurologists. We have so many common, and more, and we Buddha's already taught that. So we can share, we can talk. So because I've never been in the general education like you all been, but when I come here, in the West people, especially psychologists, I have many friends, like Dexter, we have so many commons, because Western psychology, Buddhist psychology, very similarities there. Because why are we talking about the mind? So like that, therefore is everything, this presentation, I was very inspired, and very happy to be here with you all.
So you're saying there are steps like in the Bodhisattva path,
Yes.
and in this theory, you mentioned steps in
Yes.
the process to get to compassion and that sort of thing. But in this theory, a person goes through suffering, and it's necessary to experience this suffering to pass through to the place where compassion. Is there something like that?
Yeah, I think I did it before, share a story about myself, For my mother gave me the experiment about what's the suffering like, Then I experienced about this little bit in suffering. Now I can get, some successful, more better relationship with the young babies. So then I enjoy. I have great enjoyment with spend with the rest of my time with the young babies. We have relation closeness because I stop to throw rocks for them. So like that, some kind of sort of sorrow, experiences of suffering, and bring about in the life totally changes. And therefore, it's because in many Tibetan masters come from like prisoners or like difficulty times, and they wonderful have successful their practice, because we thought you have the object of tolerance or the object of passion like that. What do you practice? We thought any other sentient being, what you really how you cultivate your compassion, So therefore, is the challenge and the difficulty is the best of your teacher, best of the guardians about our joy. So I think yes, that's your answer, like a little comment or whatever. So that's I think some kind of sort of experiences, or sometimes the Buddhist in the monastery when we training in our early, we have a lot of imagine of different sufferings, different pains. Then we can do the opposite, when we can free from those suffering, the co-funding of the origin of the suffering, when we get totally free from those disturbing emotions, disturbing or the afflictive emotions, what's like? Free, calm, relax, joy. Now you sense of experience that.
And that helps you develop yourself.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, because when I in the monastery, because perhaps I don't know how many you've been in monastery, but in general the monastery environment is very calm, naturally is very peace and not so much confliction in there. But in the meantime, as of course always disturbing emotions are there, It's not for the environment sometimes in the way of our mental process. So anyway, but imagine others' frustration and sufferings and pains, and then you check if I have those frustration, what is the best antidote I can apply? Then I study the antidote about the frustration. Then I exercise, I apply. Then when it is really arising, do I have that truth? If not, I'm not practitioner. If I do, yes, I'm practitioner. So that is the difference. That's why I get benefit. So then is I'm not losing my temper, I'm not losing, my, confliction or frustration, suspicions for others. Then I can be close with anybody. I can interest in any other's orientations, It doesn't matter. They have different human beings, we have conditions. Because my interest is the being, the self, not the conditions. So therefore it's different, the biased, unbiased, because when we biased, we all loving the conditions. Therefore it's, the first place we love someone so much, and the next place is we hate so much, because it depends on the conditions. But when we apply we apply our love to the nature, the being, then it doesn't matter the orientation is changing, the conditions are changing. We not losing our, love, our compassion. Then we get the blessing of calm and relax, no frustration. Agree? God bless you. Thank you.
So I have the great pleasure of providing a notion of thanks to Lama Lakshey. And when he first came in, I asked him, thinking about Dexter's presentation yesterday, was this going to be a meditation or is this going to be a talk or a presentation? He says, I talk. But the important thing for us, of course, is to listen, and particularly listen to what he said and how we had to say it. And as I was listening, I was thinking about the parallels, as Dexter was suggesting to, and even Lori when he asked his question about what he was saying and what we've been hearing about the theory. And the language may not be the same, but the essence of that is. And I think what I got out of it today, and I'm sure you did as well, is in fact the essence of who we are as human beings and how we need to maintain the focus on that and stop using that analytical mind. Because I kept using my analytical mind trying to draw, a diagram or a PowerPoint or something, the Buddhist versus the and I was thinking about, level 4 and 5, I'm sure, if not a high 4, he's certainly into 5, and and as I said, it was a great honor and a privilege for us to have him attend. It was a surprise when Dexter indicated, I think through Bill, that Lama Lakshey was going to attend this conference, and so we were pretty excited about him coming, and I think we can see why. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have about a 15, actually about a 17 or 18 break.